Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Senior Advisory. Today, Thursday, September 14. We have a lot of content to cover. We'll start right at 10 a.m. My name is Abby, one of the advisors here at College Depot. Just wanted to invite you guys to our Common App workshop that will be taking place on the 20th, September 20th at 4 p.m. We have in-person and virtual availability. We'll be putting the link on the chat so that way you guys can sign up for it, and our information, you guys can call us. We will be more than happy to assist you. In a few minutes, we'll start with our senior advisory. If you guys have questions, please be sure to put them on the Q&A. One of our advisors will answer the question before we send it live. If you don't have enough time, just keep inputting them in there. We'll get to them when we see them. So if you have your laptops handy, please make sure to plug them in and join us for senior advisory. Today we have a lot of content in our in-state schools. And it is 10 a.m., so we'll turn it over to Ms. Haggerty.
Good morning. So we're going to talk about how to fund your education. So you guys have been really good at doing the applications. I think many of you who are listening have already applied, and some of you have already gotten accepted. Woo! All right, next one. So you've done step one. Some of you applied during the Senior Leaders Camp on August 3rd and 4th. Some of your schools participated in Liftoff to College on August 21st through the 25th, and you might have done your applications then. There are some larger campuses that are doing college application campaigns with their entire, like 500 student senior class, and that will happen on various campuses through September and October. I know today is Alhambra and South Madden, so that's kind of exciting. So step one, do the application for college. Now, we want you to be smart so that you don't pay the full sticker price for any of the schools that you're applying to. So no matter how shiny and beautiful a school looks, no matter how much of a discount you initially seem to be getting in the form of maybe a merit scholarship, we want you to really do the work you need to do to get the financial aid. Next screen. So one of the first things you can do is figure out what is the overall cost of attendance. So if we talk about cost of attendance, we're not just talking about tuition, we're also talking about potentially room and board, books and supplies, fees along with tuition, and it might also, involve personal expenses. If you're living on campus, you need to plan for the clothes you're wearing, the toilet paper you're buying, the meals that you're eating, and also transportation. Some of you are going to commute from your family's house to school. Others of you are going to be living on campus, but you might have a car, so maybe you need to pay for parking. And others of you still are going to be attending schools across the country, which means that you have to factor in 2 plane flights a year, up and back 2 separate times, because all campuses close over winter break because they're closed down for about a month, month and a half. So you have to factor that in too. The way you know overall cost of attendance is by inputting the name of the school, and you can just put in either NPC or net price calculator and then answer a few questions, and it will give you a pretty close estimate of what it will cost to attend that school for 1 year. We encourage you to take a look at the net price calculators at every school that you're looking to. There's also, if you're looking at out-of-state schools, there's also something called My Intuition, and that's a net price calculator for a whole bunch of schools that are out of state. Next screen. So what is step 2 then? It's applying for financial aid. And depending on a little bit of your background, you may or may not be able to do some of the primary forms. We'll explain in a second. There are two types of financial aid forms. The one every single school accepts is the FAFSA. That stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The operative word there, the most important one, is the first F, which stands for free. The second F is really important too. That's federal, which means that if you do the application and you're eligible to receive some money in any of the forms that the FAFSA allows you to receive, then the federal government will send money to your school on your behalf. This year, the FAFSA is opening much later than usual. It's going to open in December 2023. We don't yet know the date yet. We don't know if it's December 1st, December 15th, or the 31st. This is going to make a difference. So everybody, every counselor, every community-based organization that helps with college admissions, we're all kind of on pins and needles waiting for the release date, but we know it will be in December. So the other form is the CSS Profile. The CSS Profile is just short for College Scholarship Service Profile. That one is managed not by the federal government, but by College Board on behalf of about 400 private colleges and universities and scholarship foundations. That opens just as it normally has been in October. So on the 1st of October, you could do the CSS Profile if you should be doing it. Not everybody should be doing it. So we're going to explain that in just a second. Next screen. The FAFSA is changing, and it's going from over 100 questions to under 40 questions. So it's going to be a whole bunch shorter, but just know it's getting a facelift on top of everything. It will be shorter. When you fill it out, it won't be until December. And believe me, on your campus, you will get information from your counselors to tell you what the opening date is. I know that College Depot will be doing some workshops in December and maybe in January too. So while you're on break, don't worry, if you haven't yet filled it out by then, you'd still be able to do it. Next screen. The CSS Profile will be filled out by U.S. citizens or undocumented students who are applying to out-of-state schools that require it. So if you're applying to an out-of-state school, don't just do it. Make sure at least one of the schools on your list requires it, because not all of them do, but most private colleges and universities do. Now, what about if you're an undocumented citizen and you're applying to ASU, UofA, or NAU? You're going to fill out the CSS Profile to qualify for aid to our in-state universities. You only need to do the CSS Profile if you're applying to in-state universities, if you're a dreamer. Okay, if I'm a student who is a US citizen, I don't need to fill out the CSS Profile for our in-state schools. I would only need it if I'm applying to an out-of-state private school. You might want to take a picture of this screen just to be able to differentiate whether or not you need to do it. You can always ask your counselor. We don't want you to fill out the CSS Profile and put the name of in-state schools if you're a US citizen. If you get on the website, and I've put a little snip of it right here, you can click where it says College Board's website, and it'll give you a list of schools that require the profile. Next screen. For both of these, you need to gather information to complete the forms. They're similar in some ways, and in other ways, the CSS Profile asks more questions, especially now that we're getting a more streamlined version of the FAFSA. Okay. In addition, on the FAFSA, if you're going to fill that out, you have to have an FSA ID. So let's say I'm a US citizen, I'm filling out the FAFSA. In order for me to even begin my application, I have to have already done my FSA ID. That allows me to sign my FAFSA electronically. But there's about a 5-day waiting period between when I establish my FSA ID to when I can actually log into the FAFSA. So what that really means is we're going to do your FSA IDs much earlier. Next screen. So if you're eligible to fill out the FAFSA, you'll need to complete the FAFSA every year of your attendance. So if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, if you're junior in college, if you're a senior, you're still going to do the FAFSA. So it's not a one-time thing, it's a 4-time thing. Next screen. If you fill out your FAFSA, you're going to tell it which colleges and universities you're going to apply to. And then they determine whether you're eligible for grants, work study, and loans. So if you fill your FAFSA out, the federal government might give you student aid in the form of a grant, which you don't have to pay back. It's kind of like a scholarship. So you don't have to pay it back. It's free money from a school. Work study means you get a job either on campus or affiliated with your campus. You might be doing research at a site that's off campus, but that is connected with your school. And then you might also receive a loan. Student loans are probably the best deal around. The loan percentage that you have to pay back is very low. And so student loans through the federal government are much better than a private loan to take out by your bank. We'll talk more about this in detail. Today's just an overview. Next screen. Here's an example of an award from last spring. The student applied to ASU, and then you can see here they received federal Pell Grant, a supplemental grant. The Obama Scholarship is actually a grant, and then the Student FA Trust Grant. So all 4 of these are free money that the student doesn't need to hand back. So this one is about $3,250, $500, almost $4,000, another $1,000 here. So all of those are going to go toward tuition and fees. Notice too that this student got a merit scholarship because they had high grades. They didn't have a 4.0, but they got the next highest one, the president. And so they got 2,400 here. They also did ASU's Raise.me scholarship. And so they got additional money there. They're getting work study. And then they did have a small loan. So if I add up the cost of fall and I add up the cost of the spring semester, that's going to be over $32,000 a year. But notice this student is really only taking out this amount, the $1,748 one semester and then the other semester. So out of that $3,200, they're going to have to pay back a loan of a little bit over $3,000. It's a pretty good deal. So this is an example of an in-state award letter with financial aid. Next screen. Here are 3 examples of out-of-state awards. This first one is from Brown University. If we look at the cost of attendance first, the total estimated charges are going to be nearly $85,000. Seems like a ton of money, right? Who has $85,000 a year to put toward their education? But I want you to notice this student has received a scholarship. So what they did is they filled out their FAFSA. How do I know they filled out their FAFSA? Because they have a Pell Grant here. Pell Grants are only awarded if you have done your FAFSA, and the FAFSA has determined you have eligibility, like you need help to pay for school. So notice here, Brown University is giving them a scholarship of $76,000, and then they get a Pell Grant of about $5,500. So of this total amount of $84,000, $81,000, almost $600 is already free money that's going to them. In some cases, it is less expensive for students to go out of state than in state. There is a little bit of a parent responsibility over a year's time. The student, they're hoping that the student will do summer employment so they can pay for that $2,800, and then they're given a work study job here. So this work study job would be added right on top of that. Okay. If I look here at the middle one, this is from Williams College, which is one of the top liberal arts colleges in the country. They are a no-loan school. So if we look at cost of attendance, it's about $84,000. And then the student is given bonus money to pay for books, health insurance, summer storage, counseling, and a first-year fund. So almost $8,000 just in that. And then we look at the financial aid award. They get a grant from Williams of $77,000. They get a personal expense grant of $1,850 to help pay for personal expenses. And then they're eligible for a Pell Grant. The student has done both their FAFSA and their CSS Profile. Okay, so now we look, how much does the student have to contribute? Zero. How much does the parent contribute? If you could see under there, it's zero. Okay, so how much does the student need to contribute toward their education? Nothing. It's amazing. Okay, if we look over here, this is from Bowdoin. They're another school that meets full need without loans. So if you look over here at the cost of attendance, they're about $86,000, but $83,000 of this is paid in the form of a scholarship and a Pell Grant. Okay. If we look at parent contribution, they only have to put forward $790. This student probably, and this student, they're probably getting a better deal to go out of state than to stay in state. Okay. They do expect the student to work in a work-study job on campus, but otherwise, the student doesn't need to work during the summer, and you don't see a loan on this. Next screen. So we'll host FAFSA workshops in December. Whenever we know the date, we'll advertise it, we'll let you know. And then we'll also host a CSS Profile workshop in October. I'll start working with you on the CSS Profile in one of our Tuesday workshops. So join us there. We'll keep advertising. When we get to our October calendar, you can see which date I'm doing it on. But just remember, if you're a US citizen and you're only applying to in-state schools, you don't need to do the CSS Profile. Okay, next screen. So let's talk too about scholarships, and you'll notice that in talking about financial aid, I haven't really talked about scholarships. So when we think about scholarships, a lot of times what parents and students are asking about are really the private scholarships. Private scholarships represent about 10% of all scholarships. Most scholarships come from schools themselves, so they're called institutional scholarships. In other words, the school itself, and much of that comes in the form of merit awards. In other words, you're really good at something. Might be academic, so you get an award based on your GPA and or your test score. Next screen. We're going to show you where to find some of these institutional awards. So For example, you could just Google ASU scholarships. I think they're putting the link in right now, but I just want to say to you, you don't have to always have the link. You can also Google using keywords and find almost anything that you're looking for. So don't let yourself get too tied into knowing an exact link, because I want to make sure that you don't let that stop you if you don't have a link. What you do have is your head. Use your head to figure out what the keyword searches that you would put in. In this instance, I've put in ASU scholarships, and this is the page I land on. So if I want to look at ASU scholarships, and even some that aren't ASU, all I have to do is click here to the scholarship search. I'll show you what that page looks like in a second. Notice also, if I want to know what my cost of attendance and what my merit scholarship would be, I can do this cool thing called the Scholarship Estimator. I'll show you that in another screen in just a second. This is about renewing it. So if you get a merit scholarship, as long as you keep up a certain GPA, it should be renewable every year. And then if you want financial assistance and you're an Arizona student, you would just click here where it says Programs for AZ Residents. That extends not only to students who are U.S. citizens, but also undocumented. And then I want you to notice something too. In addition to merit scholarships and any of these other financial aid programs, there's also scholarships that are offered by colleges, like the College of Engineering, College of Nursing, and departments within. So if I'm interested in getting my bachelor's degree in nursing, my department would be nursing, my college would be nursing, I would click here, and then it will get me down to the specific ones for incoming freshmen. Every school has something kind of like this, all of our in-state schools. Next screen. So go back one for just a second. So on the landing page, go ahead back to the last screen. On that landing page, see where it says Scholarship Search right here? Okay, now go to the next screen. If I click here, where I end up is this next screen, and it'll say Scholarship Search on there. Next one. So I can fill in the filters here. I would tell you, don't fill in too many, because the more filters you put on, the fewer scholarships that you might be eligible for. So you might say what the college is, what your major is, that you're an Arizona resident, that you're going full-time, and let them know that you're an incoming freshman. But once you do that, what you'll see are a whole bunch of scholarships under this. So once I've hit search here, a bunch of scholarships will load here. If you don't hit search, these scholarships will still be there because they're there by deadline. So see how these deadlines are just upcoming, right? So you look here, if I was going to, if I was a sophomore or a junior and I was a business major, I might fill that one out if I wanted to do a study abroad scholarship. So that might give you extra money. And then all of these can be added on top. In other words, they can be stacked on top of your merit scholarships. Next screen. I also talked about the ASU Scholarship Estimator. Here's what it looks like. It's kind of fun to fill out. You can dream a little bit. You would put in high school. You'd have to put in 4 or more years in English and math, 3 in science, 2 years for second language and social science, and at least 1 year of fine art. You'd have to click on that and then slide it to fit whatever your core GPA is. If your school ranks, you would click this, put in your rank out of the number of students in your class. If you're a bio student and you're at a school that doesn't rank, you don't need to fill out rank or number of students. If you have a test score you want to try, you would put that in. Say you live in Arizona and calculate. A couple of you have just found out that you might be a National Merit semifinalist or a commended student. So if you might be, then you would click this because you'll get an automatic award of, depending on the school, 16 or 18,000. Next screen. ASU has 3 Advantage programs that make tuition-free attendance possible. The first one is the Barack Obama Scholars Program. This one pays for 8 full-time consecutive years of school, including tuition, fees, including the honors fee if you want to apply to the honors program, student-initiated fees, as well as housing, food, books, course materials, supplies, and equipment. Usually with the Barack Obama Scholars Program, you've got about about $3,000 to $3,500 in loan cost to pay back, but it might not even cost you that much. There's a program called the College Attainment Grant that allows kids coming from low-income families to have free tuition and fees for up to 4 years. There's also the Arizona Promise Program, which isn't just for ASU, it's for all 3 of our in-state universities. I'll show you what that website looks like in a second, but the Arizona Promise Program is a state grant program for Arizona residents, and it helps fill in the remaining tuition and fee costs not covered by either your Merit Scholarship or your Pell Grant, and it can be awarded up to 4 years. Next screen. This is what the Arizona Promise Program website looks like, and it's on the Arizona Board of Regents site. They're the ones who oversee ASU, NAU, and UofA. Next screen. University of Arizona also gives out merit scholarships. You can see the GPA to the left and the merit scholarship it's worth to the right. Just know initial first-year merit tuition scholarship offers are based on self-reported grades provided by you at the time that you're admitted. So if something happens and your GPA goes up, I just want you to know that scholarship award is final, can't be appealed after the admissions grade verification is complete. Next screen. UofA also has a fantastic website called Scholarship Universe, and once you've been accepted by the school, you use your login here to log in, and you'll be able to see a ton of individual scholarships. We've had students who have gotten multiple scholarships through Scholarship Universe. Next screen. This is what the net ID and password, like the site where you have to log in. So if you do U of A net ID, this is what comes up. And you just use your net ID and your password to log in. Next screen. NAU also has merit awards. If you are between a 3.75 and a 4.0, you could get full tuition paid for through your merit award. If you're between a 3.5 and 3.74, you might get the President's that pays up to $9,000. But if I was a student and I was trying to pay for my cost of attendance, I might stack this President's Award on top of my financial aid, like my work study, my Pell Grant. So that's what we mean by stackable. Okay. Next screen. Here's an example of a private scholarship. So remember, less than 10% of all scholarships are private, but here's what one might look like. It's called the AES Engineering Scholarship. AES is an engineering firm. The award is $500. The deadline is October 8th. You don't even need to be an engineering major, and you don't even need to have engineering courses on your schedule in order to get this award. And you just need to answer this question. When you look back at your life in 30 years, what would it take for you to consider your life successful? What relationships or accomplishments will be important on this journey? You just need to turn that answer in along with your name, the school that you want to go to, and your current high school down. And there is no application packet. Just give them a way to reach you by sending it in. Next screen. College Depot is the #1 site in Arizona for scholarships. They have a fantastic listing that a young woman named Cynthia keeps updated. Go Cynthia. Okay, so all you have to do is just Google College Depot scholarships. You'll land on this screen. You click here, or you can use the link that they are no doubt putting in. Next screen. When you look at their scholarships, if you click the name of it, it'll take you to the exact website. They always list the deadline and the award amount. It gives you ideas about eligibility on the left. This one, if you're a dreamer, you're eligible for this one. You just need a 3.0. And notice on the right, there are some other scholarship websites that are available. Next screen. Remember, paying for college requires you to take action. You can't just apply because you won't have the way to pay. You'll need to apply for financial aid and scholarships as well. Next screen. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. It's a quote we appreciate from Malcolm X, but help yourself prepare by working on scholarships every week. Set aside time to do that. Next screen. And stay tuned. In October, we'll run workshops to help you create your federal student aid ID. You need that to complete your FAFSA. And next screen. I think we have a couple of reminders too. We want to just thank you for joining with us today. Don't forget, on next Wednesday from 4 to 5:30, College Depot is hosting Navigating the Common Application. You can be there virtually, or you can also attend in person with snacks. And there's also one other announcement we wanted to make. What is that announcement? On the 19th, next Tuesday, if you come on the same link, we'll have a virtual visit from Union College. If you're interested in out-of-state schools, particularly if you're interested in STEM, Union College is a fantastic school in upstate New York. They meet 100% of your need, just like those other schools that we were looking at that were out of state. And you'd get an idea of what our presentation's like from college admissions directors. So we hope you join us next Tuesday. I won't be talking other than to just hand off to our presenter, but come asking questions. And in the link right now, they're giving you the website for Union College. Thanks for listening to us today. Sorry we've gone 2 minutes over, but have a great week. Bye-bye.